You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is a vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey there, everybody. Welcome to Eye on the Target Radio. As Mike DeWine says, it's Sunday is Gun Day. Well, it is Eye on the Target Radio wise in Eye on the Target Radio land. And so let me tell you, today I spent the day putting our portable studio back together in the main studio because last week we were on the road, and so it was 3 suitcases and a bag full of radio studio. But isn't technology a wonderful thing that we can actually pick it up, carry it to a remote location, and only have absolute minimal worries? It goes together pretty well.
It's kind of surprising how good it plugs in. You can't tell where you're at anywhere on the planet.
Well, and we'll take all that, right? So, so it's always this. Do a quick check.
We've had
just
all
to make
that
sure.
where you've got to be standing in the trunk of the car, holding your cell phone as high as you can, trying to get enough signal to continue going.
There have been those days, literally, there have been those days, but I think we're somewhat past that. Well, I hope so, because let me tell you, I have been trip planning. And so, folks, if you are going to be in any one of these places, stop in and see Rob and I. So we are, first, Rob is staying home, and I am going to Washington, D.C. for the D.C. Project, for the annual pilgrimage to the nation's capital, and that'll be mid-September. And then we're headed to, Mike DeWine says, "Oh no, I am not the governor of Ohio." Yeah, exactly, because he would not have conversations about guns, just to make that clear. So then we are headed to Dallas for Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I have to say that this may be a life-changing trip for Mr. Rick Ector.
I like Dallas. They treat us nice down there.
They do. Yeah. they absolutely do. But we are going to be driving to Dallas, and so Rick Ector and Dana are both going to. They're
riding with us, so they get
they're road tripping it.
24 hours straight of the
Rob
and Amanda show.
So pray for them, because we're not for everyone.
For some well-rounded conversation is all I can say.
We are not for everyone. We'll just there is that, but no. So that should be great. And so Rick Ector is the guy who was instrumental in putting together the ladies shooting event that was in Detroit this past week. And so I didn't hear the final numbers, but I think that it was in between 1,200 and 1,500 ladies that were introduced to guns and gun safety and had one-on-one instructor time with an instructor from somewhere across the country. So.
It's funny because, I'm in the booth, and right next to me is second vice president of NRA, and beside him was Charlie Cook from Massachusetts. On the other side, Paul Lathrop from South Dakota. There was
Patrick Collins from Atlanta.
Yep.
Chris Chang from California.
Yep, they're everywhere across the country.
Yeah, Donna Dean from Texas. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So that's pretty cool. But when we head to Gun Rights Policy Conference, if you're at all interested, it is going to be in Dallas. It's going to be the last weekend in September. It is free to attend, and all of your gun rights heroes will be represented. I mean, they really, really will. And so SAF, Second Amendment Foundation, puts that on. And so if you want to go to saf.org, all the details are there. So Second Amendment Foundation's website, saf.org, all of the information is there for you to register, and what hotel it's going to be in, everything that's going to be going on there. But it's called the Gun Rights Policy Conference, or GRPC for short. And I don't know the last one that we had in person, because this Rona thing cut us down to not have it in person for a couple of years. But the last one we had in person, I think the attendance was like 1,200 people, and it doesn't matter how famous you are, how instrumental you are in the Second Amendment.
There's people there that are on TV. There's people that are YouTubers. There's the other ones that are just writing for magazines and
right, and they all get 6 minutes and then they're pitched off stage. They don't. It does not. It doesn't matter how important they are. They are. Boom.
Kind of reminds you of the old days with where they get the hook and just drag you off the stage.
Yeah, they're going to be picked up and pitched. So, but it is. But you have an opportunity to stand and talk to them in the hall. I mean, you can talk to Mark Walters, Tom Gresham. You can talk to Rob. So they're all there. It's pretty
Also,
darn amazing.
folks, if you're not paying attention, check on your old people, because I'm getting a lot of them who are first-time gun owners right now.
Okay.
It's not normal for old people to be first-time gun owners.
and so they're scared. They're watching the news and they're concerned.
So they come and I teach them how to use a gun and answer questions. And
so check. I have to say, Rob, I'm not sure where you draw that line on old people, but maybe we are them. But
I'm sure we are, but it's the kind of thing that normally
check on your old people.
You get into a hobby at a young age when you really can't afford it, and then you zoom through all your money for the rest of your days at that time.
Right.
These are retirees that have decided that now looks like the time that I need to do something, and
right, and that says a lot.
They're far from frontline troops. Let's put it that way.
That says a lot. So the question to you, when they're buying their first gun, are they buying based on price or are they buying based on quality?
No, old people buy good stuff. They don't.
Okay.
They usually don't come with the El Cheapo stuff. They got the really nice stuff.
So it's good quality stuff. So what you're saying is that if you've got somebody who is in your family or in your circle that is saying, I think I need a gun, then reach back out to them and find out if they got a gun because they needed a gun, and if they need some training, if they need to go to the range, if they need like a one-on-one safety lesson.
A lot of them are having trouble finding a range or someplace that they can go shoot because they didn't realize you just can't just pull off the side of the road somewhere
and shoot in your backyard. And in a lot of cases, these are the folks that the internet is not necessarily as at their fingertips as other people are.
And the thing is, just because they decided they want a gun doesn't mean they want to join a club or something to go belong to some range to shoot or something.
Yeah, so so you're saying, I get it. I'm visualizing this.
We got a gun, and now we're still antisocial. We just got a gun.
We just got a gun.
So we have some needs that need to be addressed.
And so they need to be able to reach out to someone to teach them, to get them started, for them to understand the safety aspects of it, and to understand, because one of the questions that you need to have with them is, who all is in and out of your house? Where are you going to put it? How are you going to store it? What does safe storage look like? Because if their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and the little kiddies come, are they really thinking that process through, and do they have a plan?
They take an Indian blanket, are you allowed to say that even? And they folded it double and nailed it to the back of the door, and they got it suspended in there so it's high enough that the kiddies can't get to it, but it's immediately available.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is no. They do not have a safe place.
That's how my grandmother used to keep her shotgun.
Well, I would think that you need to have a conversation with them, because there are some really good pieces of gear that will make it available to them at a moment's notice, but not make it available to someone who is an unauthorized user.
I'm not sure some of these are thinking that somebody's going to beat the door down and come and get it. I think they're thinking they're going to have to join with the neighbors to protect their
tuna fish. And wait, What did they put under the mattress at Y2K? That's what they're going to be. They're Spam, they're tuna fish, and they're rice.
Yeah,
right?
and cans of Chef Boyardee.
Oh, no, we're talking food. It's got to actually be edible. Have you gone back and eaten that lately?
It's so funny. Like the SpaghettiOs is so disgusting.
Oh yeah, that was I thought.
I mean, the ravioli is not so bad, and the beefaroni you can almost handle. But boy, the
Spaghetti.
I don't know what we were thinking with the spaghetti.
No, I have a much higher level than you because I thought the ravioli would have had a potential. It also does not have a potential. So there is not anything
when you're
edible.
real hungry, they're not so bad.
I don't know that I'll get that hungry. I think that I read somewhere you could eat cattail roots, so I'm gonna hold that as an option. And when we come back, we're gonna talk about the history of pinfire guns.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back to talk about pinfire guns. So I know that you have a friend who he encourages your hobby of vintage guns.
I started him out on this stuff, and he's gone over the top.
Okay, so now you egg
English,
each other on. Is that it?
Yeah. He's in an English phrase for a little too much. He's gone over the top, but he buys these LaFaux, I can't think of what the name of it. They're French pistol from the 1830s.
Okay.
And
so the new ones. Yeah. 1830s. Got it.
And they made them from the 1830s to about 1855 when rimfire kind of took over, and everybody found out that the pins fell out of the other ones when they were rolling around in your pocket.
Okay, so let's talk about what pinfire is, so people can visualize it as you start this conversation.
Okay, it's basically a bullet that looks a lot like an automatic pistol bullet. There's no rim on it or anything, and it just has a pin that sticks out the side. It's a little wire pin that maybe sticks up 1/8 of an inch or so. Okay. And when you go to put it in the gun, it has to be oriented so that pin sticks out through the hole in the top. On revolvers, they had a little track, like a little train track. You put the bullets in, and then it would fit into this track, and that way, if you dropped the gun, it wouldn't go off, or it didn't snag on your clothes, or something like that.
Okay.
Or once it's in there, the pin couldn't fall out of it.
Couldn't get somewhere else. Okay.
And but anyhow, they make them from about 12 millimeter up to 2 millimeter up to about 12 gauge shotgun is about as big as I've seen them.
Wow. So what's a pin look like on a 12 gauge shotgun one?
They're basically the same thing. It's got maybe I'd say the pin's probably a 60 or 70 thousandths diameter. Okay. But it just sticks up enough when you like a double barrel shotgun at the time. That was the repeater of the 1830s, 1850s. It just fits in there, and that pin sticks up out the top, and the hammers come right down on top of the barrels.
Okay.
So when you load the gun, cock the hammers back to the safety notch, and then close the gun, and it's fine. When you set it off, then it just pushes that pin down inside.
Oh, okay. So if you're watching on OpsLens or on Facebook, the video producer has put a pinfire photo up so you can kind of see it. It looks like a little
copper cup with a pin sticking out of the base at a 90-degree angle, and then it's got a bullet in it. Like I say, they go from 2 millimeter up through 7, 8, 12, 11, and 12 seem to be the most popular calibers when you in millimeters. So the one that we're dealing with is an 11 millimeter gun. It's got a 434 diameter bore. It'll chamber a 45 automatic case. Okay. So it makes it easy because you just trim the rim off of the 45 automatic case.
Oh, okay. So your guy can build his own rim or pinfire gun bullets out of center fire.
You take those bullets, you cut the back off, you solder the primer hole shut, and then you go in and recut the pieces where your new percussion cap would go down inside, and then you put your pin in and stuff, and you're good to go.
So when you load, the percussion cap goes inside then?
But I mean, ideally, if your machine quality is good, you can unscrew the base and you can just slide your stuff in its pockets that are milled in there. Okay. That way your pin can have a keeper on it so that it can't pull up out of the thing. Okay. And then you screw the base back on, then you fill it with powder, put your bullet in, and you're good to go.
And then your pin is reusable at that point.
Right, at that point, then you can take it out, scrub it off, unscrew the back, pull that old primer out, put the new one in, put the pin, align your pin, and then screw it back together again.
So most of us are like, cleaning our gun is too much effort. But this...
Having to clean your ammo and then rebuild your ammo.
When you have to clean the ammo, scrub the ammo, I I don't see
It
that
isn't
this
like
is.
the kind of thing that you go and make 1,000 bullets for.
This isn't a hobby for
You
everyone.
make like 12 bullets. You go out and you shoot 2 cylinders full. You come back in, and part of the rigmarole of cleaning and loading and that is part of the hobby. So you got what 30, 40 seconds of in shooting the gun, and another 2 hours in cleaning and rebuilding bullets, and then you're ready to go back out and
It's
shoot
kind of like
again.
skydiving. There's a whole lot of prep for that 1 minute of free fall, right? It's
I mean, if
that.
you wanted to shoot, you just go buy a modern gun that you could buy bullets for.
I'm going there.
If you're into the stuff of playing with this,
This is why you are the gun historian,
but a lot of
and
it is
I am
it's
not.
like a science thing. You got to look at it as how did they do it in the 18? I mean, look at how much you were going through, and how did they do it in the 1830s? I mean, what was available to them to punch this stuff out, draw.
That is the amazing part, is that when you look at what machinery they had, what technology they had, even their supply chain to get the supplies and the parts to wherever they were. Because, I mean, think about it. This is pre-Civil War. And so as you visualize all the other...
There wasn't much in the way of train activity even at that time.
Well, no, and you look at all the accessories that they had to function in their houses.
Everything
and
was run by a water wheel or by some animal dragging something around in a flywheel around in a circle or something.
Right. Yeah. So Dan says we don't appreciate preloaded and simple to use cartridges. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And
the thing is, if most people either are in the black part or the muzzle loading part of it. Like they buy a Colt 1851 Navy or an 1860 or something, or then they go into the cowboy era of the Colt single action RME and stuff, and then they move up. But they forget in the middle of this stuff is lots of inventors were working on things that they were trying to get from a flintlock in 1800 to cartridge gun by 1850.
I mean, when you really go back and you think about how technology has shifted, think about the guy who said, I've got this rock that's going to make a spark, that's going to push something down a barrel, but I've got to make the barrel so that I can hold it close to my face so that it doesn't blow up and kill me, right?
But you think about it, they went from flintlocks to cartridge guns in 50 years. So, and they didn't know what they were going. I mean, it wasn't like somebody showed them a picture and they were trying to design to this part. They were making 100 different wrong turns all the way through.
When you look at it that way, it is amazing. It's sort of like when they went from the assembly line of building a car to they're on the moon, right? I mean, there are certain times in history where the smart people are just zooming through. And I'm wondering where we are today, because I don't see
a lot of times I
don't see a lot of zooming.
People's imagination outruns technology.
Well, I really hope so. That'll give us hope and faith for the future. We'll be back right after these messages.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
Well, we are back, and I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but it is on the AmmoLand website. So an interesting thing is that AmmoLand publishes from a variety of writers that we follow, and there is an ATF letter of resignation from one of its agents that has leaked out publicly, and it's 6 pages of what he feels is wrong with the ATF.
Right, and he's been there for like 2 decades.
Yeah, so 18 years, and so, and then he said that he says, I don't really know what the mission is anymore, but I don't like it. For the last couple of years, I have found myself asking why a lot more often, and as of late, the answer is typically because they said so. I still don't know who they are, but I seem to disagree with whoever they are on pretty much everything. So that is very telling, because the gun community tends to paint in our minds, if not in our verbiage, every ATF agent with the same brush as we paint their managers. And that brush is got some ugly paint on it, right? I mean, we're not happy with them.
Expect the guy would have to enjoy his work, or he wouldn't stay with the thing.
Right.
And so, and some of it, I mean, these alphabet agencies are almost like they enjoy doing un-American activities or something. I don't know how you would.
And I don't know if they enjoy it. I really don't know if they enjoy it, but they start with an idealist kind of mentality. And in some cases, people join like the ATF or some of those agencies because they believe what we believe, and somebody needs to be on the inside drawing the line, being the voice of reason. And One would hope that, right?
Well, the thing is they have a set of rules, and so if you're on the fence about what that rule is, then maybe you need some guidance. But if you're a lawbreaker, then there should be some penalties. And if you're not a lawbreaker, then they should stay out of your business.
They should leave you alone, right? No, and I don't disagree with that.
It looks like they try to push every button to try to someone who is actually law-abiding already has an okay from them. Mm-hmm. The wind changes, and all of a sudden now that particular person is now working outside of the law, even though he has a letter from ATF saying...
Yeah, it was legal before it's now deemed illegal. But you had the letter that said it was legal, but you never got a letter that said it isn't.
Right.
Oh, the whole wait up, it's changed,
well, here's
right?
another thing we got right now. I mean, if you've seen the articles where the ammunition is missing in shipments.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get I'm trying to get one of the ammo shippers to come onto the show.
Well, it seems to me as if you got ammo that's just lots of ammo, not just one or two boxes. I mean, they're talking thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo that goes missing, and no one seems to...
Oh, yeah. So Dan says that Rob is the voice of reason. That scares me.
Well,
it scares me a lot.
This ammo goes missing, lots of ammo, and no one seems to look for where it went to. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago we were all worried that the Al-Qaeda network was working inside of our
country
shores here.
Right.
And there's a ton of people that the FBI should be watching that they don't watch. And now that this 80,000 rounds of ammo or something comes up missing, and don't worry about it, your insurance company will deal with it, it's not a suitable answer to me. I mean, we need to find out where that went to and why, if it was stolen in the process of being shipped, is somebody being hunted down and questioned as to why?
Right.
If it wasn't an inside job and somebody just stole the ammo or somehow it got lost or something, how come it's not been found? Or
well, and the interesting part is that it's almost got to be missing from the point of origination, because it's being shipped to a variety of places, and yet it's disappearing.
Right, and then too is if it was missing from the point of origination, they could easily doctor the records of where it was scanned in to be scanned back out again, so they don't actually show that they had it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think like a criminal to catch a criminal. I hate to say that, but
okay. So
I could help with that if they need to.
I could help with that. So that's that's.
I have friends who could help with that.
Oh, okay. So I'm like, you're scaring me. You're scaring me a lot, right? But no, it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to watch what's happening, but. So people are leaving the ATF.
If it's your 90,000 rounds of ammo, it's not interesting. It's painful because now you have to buy 180,000 rounds of ammo to get your customers satisfied. Go jump through more hoops and ship the second load, hoping that it's going to get there, and then sit on your thumb for weeks or months till you get the insurance money to cover it again.
And oh, by the way, you probably had borrowed money to buy it the first time.
But, and then there's probably it's ammo that you can't get again the second time or something.
Or with the ammo shortages, right? So it's interesting, but I'm going to urge you all to go to Ammo Land and read the ATF letter of resignation, because I think it's interesting. I think it's very interesting. And so John Crump writes a really good article about it. This is where this Garcia who quits, he really is pushing about the fact that he believes in the Constitution, and I believe the bad guys belong in prison. We've had multiple stories where we're talking about the ATF going, oh, never mind, that wasn't, we'll talk to them, and they slap their hand and send them on their merry way. And we're saying you're using crimes like those to pass more gun laws, to get more restrictive, to get more law-abiding people to follow them, and then the lawbreakers, you're just ignoring them.
Me and my tinfoil hat have a lot of questions about Las Vegas still that they did not answer.
But you got it. So, no. We decided the other day that Rob has a tinfoil hat,
matching gloves and boots,
and a belt. So we're building a spacesuit here, and there's so much stuff that goes with it. But I so want to get to a spot where when someone says I'm from the government and I'm here to help, that I don't do the because I don't believe you, right? I want to get to a point where I believe that people get involved in the government because they believe in a strong constitution and they believe in a government that follows the regulations and fights to change it. I mean, I got involved in some aspects of government because I wanted to be the speed bump to the liberal progress that was happening in my own personal community. And so every time they'd start down a path that I didn't like, I'd be like, oh, look, a squirrel. And they'd head off in that direction for a couple months before the meetings come back to them deciding that this was the topic that they wanted to discuss again. Then I had to point out a different squirrel. But it worked for several years until finally I was like, this isn't any fun anymore and I need my life back. But I have hope that there are other people who got involved in government for that reason, so that they can stop the overreach. They can stop the...
Well, it used to be people got involved in government because of the golden parachute and the cushy, whatever you want to call it, hospitalization plans and everything else. So very little work, pretty good bonus packages.
I never got all that. I got the volunteer government jobs that you got nothing. But okay.
Right, but you were hoping that volunteer job was going to lead into one of these. As soon as one of your friends dropped over dead, you get that spot. And
no, I don't know that.
That's how the hiring pool works. As much as they say it's a what is that test you're supposed to take? The public service sector test. Yeah, it's
whatever
more
that
like who's your buddy.
There you go again. So you guys pray for Rob. Just pray for Rob because his tinfoil hat is squeezing his little head just a little too much.
The truth hurts. That's the problem.
Okay, it does. So this agent Garcia, he also talks about how the Biden administration talks about guns and violent crime in the same sentence, and then pushes for banning certain types of firearms. But in blue states, those charged with gun crimes are only given a slap on the wrist. It's not like we've not noticed. That's the issue. We have been screaming that from the rooftops.
Well, and that's the thing is, you've seen Jerry Nadler, who said that the reason why the AR-15 was focus of their rage is because it was in common use, and there's 24 million of them or something out there.
I had a conversation with Dick Durbin out of Illinois, and he said that the real issue that Chicago has with crime is that Indiana has the gun show loophole. And it's like, well, how come anybody in Indiana is still alive? Right? Why is that? If that's the case, and they're so dangerous over there, why is their crime not high and your crime is high? I'm not buying that story. It may sound good in a soundbite, but it doesn't sound good in reality.
They're going after the AR-15, but if anybody's ever watched a John Wayne movie, you can see the speed that he can run a Winchester 92 at. If tune into YouTube and watch some of the kids do cowboy action shooting.
Right.
It's incredible how fast these guys are with this thing.
Right. So I mean, just watch 3 Gun and the Shotgun People. I mean, that is amazing. But it's almost like it's like our secret that if we start to say that, then they'll be like, oh, and that one too, and that one too, and that one too.
Well, that's how the 1934 Gun Control Act got the suppressors and short-barreled rifles and everything all in. It was
because people used it as an explanation, and they threw it in the bucket also. Right. So we're afraid to say that. We're afraid to roll out the common sense stuff, not common sense gun control, just actual common sense. When you put common sense on the table, it bites the bullet. We'll be back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more. This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie. I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, so we are back, and I have to say that as we watch these new decisions, these new regulations, these new attacks on our rights, where they're trying to take and make every one of our ARs illegal, all of our arm-braced guns illegal, and I'm using R as representative to all of us because we may or may not own them.
Well, luckily they think that if your gun is older than 1984, that it no longer works or is of any value.
Well, those are also some of the politicians who think that if you shoot up all the magazines full of bullets, you don't have any magazines left. So, kind of like the wrapper on the candy bar or something. I'm not sure.
It's part where you don't want to correct them because then they might learn something.
I don't want them to learn. I really don't. But I'm going to tell you that I really think that each and every one of us that is in the Second Amendment community, that is a gun owner, that is, and when I say Second Amendment community, I'm saying anyone who exercises their constitutional rights to have a gun either on their person, in their home, in their car, wherever it is that you have a firearm, maybe it's your squirrel gun, maybe it's your personal protection gun, whatever that is, that you should seriously consider getting insurance like Firearms Legal Protection or another company like that, because I believe that they believe they've got us on the ropes, and there are going to be American citizens who are going to become the examples, and those examples are going to pay the price for all of us.
Right. And even if you don't own an AR, you might want to buy some magazines just because.
Then you can help is that the help a buddy out kind of thing? So that if someone else is, it's sort of like the military, that Liberator pistol, right? If you've got the magazines, you may be able to get the gun.
Right.
Is that where you're going?
Well, back in the day, the Russians would give one guy a gun and a whole bunch of behind him bullets. So as soon as something happened to him, they should pick the gun up and use their bullets in that gun.
Got it, because you're issued the bullets, you might as well. So, yeah, I just think that you should. And then training. Get training so that should you have to use your firearm in whatever manner, that you understand how to use it, and that you understand the care and feeding of it, and that you can be safe in its ownership in the meantime, so that you understand what's a threat, what's not a threat, where you shoot, where you don't shoot, all of those types of things, because you hear such stories. There's times when somebody was like, I thought it was this, or I thought it was that. And it's like,
too, is if you've only ever shot like a shotgun or a .22 rifle, you should get some high-power rifle training, just because you have never seen anything like that.
It's pretty amazing. I have to tell you a friend story. I had a friend who came and borrowed a gun. I did not ask her, do you know how to use it? Because she came and said, can I borrow a .410 shotgun? Sure.
Which implied that she had already used one of them at one time.
Which implied she knew it wasn't just, I need a gun and lessons, or I need a gun and show me how it works. I want a .410 shotgun.
I have already used one of these, and I understand that.
Right. That would be where my mind went. So I loaned her a .410 shotgun and gave her a box of shells. So she goes home. It comes to find out that she has a critter that is eating her goldfish out of her koi pond. And she's had enough of that, and she is going to blast it. So she gets ready. She sees it. She goes out. She shoulders the gun. She pulls the trigger. And then she says to her husband, did I get it? And he's like, heck no, you didn't get it. It didn't go off. She's like, how do you know? So he fixes it, i.e. loads it, hands it back to her. The critter's still there, even after the bickering. She aims at the critter and pulls the trigger, and it goes kaboom. Then she just turns and looks at him and says, oh, that's how you knew. So I am just going to say that as funny as that is, it's sort of sad, and it has rephrased my loaning someone a gun to say, have you shot? Do we need to go to the range? What lessons do you need? What information do you want prior to me just giving them custody of the gun, right? So it was, needless to say, one, she missed, and two, she's like, okay, I guess that's not an option for me.
You're not allowed to talk in the microphone.
Yeah, so I brought my dog to studio, and my dog loves Rob. So I'm just going to say, if you hear panting, it is not Rob. It would be, you need to get out of the studio, little buddy. Just completely out of the studio. So he knows the rules, but Rob's a soft touch. I'm just going to say. Well, I'm glad I introduced him. Get! Okay.
You heard her. Go.
Stop egging on the dog. I'm just saying. My dog deals in hand gestures, and Rob's egging him on. So they're, sorry, kids. Yeah. So anyhow.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying. I am like speechless right now, but there you go. So do you have any loaning a gun to someone stories that you find humorous, or am I the only nitwit who loaned a friend who
I try not to loan out a gun because usually they're not smart enough to make it work, so you end up it's broken when it comes back. So says that a lot of my stuff is so bizarre that you need 2 years of college to understand how to load a thing.
Okay, there is a lot of bizarreness in some of your firearms. There is no doubt about it. But the funny part is that when I did this, I felt completely confident and comfortable doing it. It's since caused me to now think that, because I really thought that the majority of the people understood how guns work.
It's really simple to you to how it works and it's a shotgun. How can you miss?
If somebody comes up to you and says, "Can I borrow your car?" As
long as they're over 12, I'm all good with it.
I'm all good with it, right? But you wouldn't think to say, "Have you had lessons? Do you have a driver's license? Do you have insurance?" All of that. You're assuming.
I just say, mine's 6 shift. Can you handle that?
There is that. But you kind of assume all that stuff, and maybe we need to stop and look at that as a question. Do you got insurance? Let me see your license, right? I don't know, but
I know a lot of people with a license that still can't drive, so there's no guarantees.
Right. Well, an automatic is way better because then they don't burn your clutch out. I'm just saying. It's not even about their skill set, about can you drive a stick shift. It's if you drive like that, my clutch is in risk, and I'd prefer to still have
years ago, back, I'm talking in the early 60s, we would go to Cleveland to my Uncle Stanley's house, and he had an old Ford that was a 3-speed on the column, and we drove everywhere in town in second gear. He never shifted gears. He would take off in second gear, and if he had to go faster, then he just gave it more gas. There was no shifting gears there.
So he had like the original automatic without knowing that there was an automatic coming?
He just pushed the clutch in to stop, and otherwise he just took off in second, and he just kept it there.
Okay. That's, so it's life's lessons learned. There is no doubt about it.
That wasn't my car.
Right, exactly. Once again. So, I think that I'm concerned, though, that we as a country are going to a spot where you can't loan a friend a gun. You can't loan a friend a car.
They're hoping to do that to you. Canada did it years ago. If you loaned a gun out and they ran into the police or something, they registered that gun to them at that point. So
and all of a sudden it's their gun, right? And it wasn't your gun. And so you had to run into the police with the gun so it got registered back to you, something like that. I have such high hopes that we're not going to go in that direction. But then when you look at it, you're like, I don't know if they're going to dash those hopes against the rocks of reality. We'll be back after
you
this.
ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. we'll protect you.
hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So we are back with more of what is in the news. So this is from Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms. And in San Jose, California, they passed an insurance mandate. So think about an insurance mandate. When you have insurance, like on your car.
Who runs things in California?
The inmates of the asylum. That's all I've got to say. Because if you go and they say, oh, it's no different than having insurance on your car. Yeah, it is. Well, one, it's a constitutional right, and your car is not a constitutional right. The second part is that your gun ownership is supposed to be confidential between you and the government. Ha, 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 ha. But if you have to have insurance, what information do they want when you buy insurance?
Well, they have to know what gun they're insuring. Otherwise, they can't say that was your gun or whatever.
Right. So if you're a super user.
Are they just selling you a liability policy so that it's on you? It could be, that's another scam that the insurance people do. I may have 5 cars, but I can only drive one at a time.
So why don't they charge you for the most expensive one?
Right, or the one that I could do the most damage with or whatever, and say this is it. And the other ones just happen to be there because
right.
So if, today I'm driving my cement truck, and tomorrow I drive an old Chevy Chevette. They should just think of it as a bonus that I'm not out flattening things
cars
on the highway.
Right. I mean, I would think that you could do fire and theft on all of them. And then the damaged part
like
is insuring
this
you.
San Jose thing, if they're just saying that you are buying insurance on yourself, that you will not go out on a shooting rampage, that's one thing.
Well, except that would be a criminal. That would be a criminal use of a firearm. And this insurance policy that you're required to have does not cover criminal use of the firearm.
Did I tell you I was a graduate of PU?
Yes. For those of you who don't know, that is Paintball University.
So I'm a degreed paintball.
Right. You had to go to a 5-day class on paintballs. Well, I think that, and a lot of the purpose was to keep you from getting all blowed up.
Well, the big thing is if you buy a gun and you go downtown and shoot things up, you are committing a crime, which is a...
You cannot have insurance against you committing a crime.
And they can't sue through you back to the gun shop and stuff. But if you buy a paintball gun and you go downtown and you shoot up the street while you're doing that's malicious mischief, and they can sue back through you to the guy who sold you the paintball equipment. So this is the
So it actually costs more for insurance to have a paintball store
than it does for actual gun shop.
Gun shop. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Or a paintball range as opposed to a gun shop range. But so when you're looking at this San Jose lawsuit, there's a couple pieces to it. One is they are looking for you to have an insurance policy that covers accidental misuse of a firearm. So, but I don't believe that you're going to get a policy that covers you from accidental. It is going to be this gun and this gun and this gun and this gun and this gun. So all of a sudden, if you are a super user, they're not going to cover your guns unless you give them a list and their serial numbers.
Because maybe I could buy a kennel permit.
I don't think it works that way. I tried that with cars once. I was like, can I just, right?
Fleet insurance.
Right. They were. We'll just say that one day I looked at it. There's 2 of us that live in this house, and he has cars. It's an addiction. That's it. My name is Amanda. I married a man with a car addiction, right? Or I guess it's a motor addiction because it's not necessarily just cars, but there. So, so here is this, and when you really look at it, it is going to be a non-private de facto registration scheme.
Think about it. Their job is to make it so distasteful for you to try to jump through all those hoops to make it happen.
That you say, no, I'm not doing it.
Well, and you give up your gun at the next thing for a $50 gas card so that you can get up on the freeway and clog up somebody's lungs or something. Oh.
Maybe. So there's... so when you look at this...
We just want you to stop playing. That's the key.
And I'm going to make it so painful that you have to stop playing, that you give up.
It's against the law for them to pay like an MMA fighter to punch you in the head.
So they just do this.
You can't just... Every gun you got, you get 2 punches in the head. You get down to where you didn't want to announce
I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not playing anymore, right? So there is that. So keep that in mind. This is why we're so opposed to insurance. Because it's a de facto registration scheme. Then the next part is that the federal judge is interpreting Bruin, in my opinion, completely wrong.
Well, if you read the thing, it is completely wrong, and he is pushing for some antique stuff because of the fact that they said 1790 or something like this.
Right.
I can't think of what the name of the words he's using.
Yeah, the 19th century surety laws.
Yeah, so surety laws. So he's going on that, and it doesn't at all interlock with this stuff. So it's just one more thing the Supreme Court's going to have to hear again. And
right, so it's going to go back to the Supreme Court. So what the 19th century surety laws were that many jurisdictions began adopting laws that require certain individuals to post bond before carrying weapons in public. That was the surety laws. And Mike Wade is saying that they also want to raise the tax on guns 1,000%. So if you're buying a $1,000 gun, it's another $10,000 on top of that. So it's an $11,000 gun. So there's these pieces.
You're not allowed to use your credit card either because the credit card company says no.
Right, and then they don't want you to use. Yeah. So, but the next part of this is that San Jose then says, okay, the judge is not going to stop this law from going into effect, but then San Jose itself says, well, we're going to put it on hold while the lawsuit is being bumped back, where everybody is what's the word for it? Well, they're being challenged in court. Well, let's just go with that. So as long as there is a court challenge to this decision and that people are filing, what is that word?
Lawsuits.
No, when you lose and then it goes to the next level, appeals. That's the word, where they're filing and then filing appeals so that it moves through the court system. So San Jose is saying that they're not going to enforce the laws. So this is, again, I passed a law, I'm not going to enforce the law, and so people are like, oh, okay, it's fine. Well, it's not fine.
The law's still there, they're just not enforcing it, but there's
going to be a day when they do.
It's because they believe that
it's going to be pushed.
Right.
They're not winning, but that's why they're not enforcing it. But there's going to be a day where they see an opening and they're going to jump on it, and again, someone is then going to be the example. So do you want it to be you? Do you want it to be your friends? Do you want it to be your family? Because they will then make someone the example, and that someone is going to pay dearly for it.
So when is it that pushback is going to be painful for all above?
Well, your little old people are buying guns.
Old people are buying guns. I think that we've just about hit that apex of our trajectory.
Yeah, there is a line that says that once you reach a certain age, life in prison is not necessarily a deterrent anymore because it's not. Right. Yeah, but I don't know, and you don't want to wish that on anybody. And it's like, come on, let's pull our common sense out of the cupboard and use it. But it is, I really believe that we're still in this like alligator death roll where they are going to do everything that they can to take your rights or to convince you to give them up.
In the 60s and 70s, they found out that they couldn't just go and protest at the college level because they got shot at.
Okay.
So they moved into the politics and took over. And so from there to now, 50 years of letting them take charge because we didn't really care one way or the other. It's starting to come home to roost, as they say.
Right. And so we're pushing back. Speaking of, in that pushback, did you see at CPAC where Marjorie Taylor Greene said she would be interested in running for president or vice president? I mean, they run that news clip, and you could hear the pop, 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 pop of people's heads exploding. Right? Just the concept.
Team Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We'll be back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
We're back. So, man, there is just so much stuff going on. Did you see? Let's talk politics for just a little second. Did you see that that Liz Cheney is reaching out, trying to? Well, she's trying to save her job, and I believe it's a little too little, a little too late. And the interesting part is that she's one of the 10 who voted to impeach Trump. And if you've been following that, you'll find that so far in elections or in pushback, 6 of the 10 are no longer in office or will not be in office when the next wave of office holders go into place. So the remainder are in office, running for office, and so Liz Cheney's primary is not up yet.
She hasn't even come up for a re-election.
So her primary is in this primary cycle, so it's still to come.
Right. So she's trying to get Kevin Costner to help her now.
So she thinks that Kevin Costner is going to pull her bacon out of the fire, and she doesn't understand that. She's already alienated the conservatives.
Right,
then she's going to where she alienates the gun owners.
The only thing she's got is if she can get the Democrats to vote for her, even though she's a Republican, that may help her. But it's the kind of thing that, since normally they're on the wrong team,
right?
They don't usually cross-pollinate like that.
Right. Well, then if they jump parties, then they jump right back, and so they're not going to vote for her. So they may get her into through the primary. They may. I don't believe so, but they may. And if so, then the other team, they're going to jump back, and the Republicans are not going to hold their nose and vote for her if she becomes the Republican candidate. So they'll stay home, and the other side gets the seat.
Everything has consequences. You need to pay attention to and only do what you feel is right, and that way, then, when it all comes back to bite you on the rear end, you can say, "I did it to myself."
Right. I got bit on the biscuit because I
have principles, or I have,
or I don't know what I was thinking, but I don't know.
I have an eye to the future that doesn't match everybody else's.
Could be. So there is that. But so to pick somebody that is, when you look at it, that 50% of the population are gun owners, and so you pick an anti-gun guy to help pull your bacon out of the fire is a bad move.
The thing is it's kind of sad that we don't pay attention to politics enough to know what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are a one-issue thing, and that's the only thing they pay attention to.
Right.
Some don't even pay attention to that one thing.
So that there's so many people that have you watched them that they're like, yeah, I just don't do politics. And it's like, but you live in America, so you do politics. By not doing politics, you default do politics.
Right, let somebody else make your decisions for you at that point.
It's sort of like, I don't carry a gun, I don't believe in guns, but I'm going to call the police. No, so that means you do believe in guns. You just believe that somebody else is going to have the gun, and you're going to call it like DoorDash and have it come to you when you want it. But it is not that you don't want a gun.
But you don't have to tip the police officer when he gets there, right?
Well, I'm not sure they tip all the DoorDash people, but but if you call the police to come save your sorry hide, then you do believe in guns.
Right. And that's the trouble is we do not take any personal responsibility, and so we believe somebody else is at
There you
fault.
go, voice of reason again. Oh my God, this is a show where Rob is the voice of reason. Are you all afraid?
Someone
I'm afraid.
else is at fault, and it's not my fault. And so that's the problem we have with America today.
Okay, so you young whippersnappers, right? That's it.
I can tell you that I don't think, even since the 50s, many people paid attention to politics.
No.
I mean, when I was a kid, you could ask who was the like your congressman or anything. They didn't have any clue. I mean, only when it was time to vote, they remembered seeing the name on the sign out front.
Right.
If
so
the guy had the same name as your breakfast cereal, then he was a winner because you remembered that.
Exactly. So if your last name was Sanders, they're like, I think I saw that on the chicken place, right? I mean, that there is a spot where the guy in the next county over says, yeah, that's an electable name. And at first I thought he was full of cheese. But he's right. It's if that name is easy to say or familiar in some way.
There was an old movie with the one comedian, and he was running as he wanted to run for congressman. The guy who died had the same name.
Same name.
So he bought all the road signs and everything, and then he would just vote for Jeff Johnson. You know the name. He didn't show any pictures of himself. He never did any live things. It was just
you know the name.
Running on that name. You know the name, and he ended up winning. It was funny because then when he got there, they said, "How do you feel about this?" And they said, "If you're for it, we have money for you, and if you're against it, we have money for you."
The sad part is that was a comedy,
and it's truer to life than you care to admit.
It really it's sad. It's sad that it is truer to life than.
You know the funny part. Barack Obama put all these. They called them czars. That was their first mistake. As soon as they called him a czar, we were taught in school to hide under the bed.
And hide from the czars because we don't have kings and we don't have czars and we don't have
Right. So czars was not a good choice. So when they put all these czars in place, that woke up the old people, and the old people started these Tea Party things again, and all across the country they were going to town halls.
Right. And when you looked at it, the average age was like 95.
Right, but that's the thing is they at least started talking about it and doing things, and because of the fact that the liberal Democrats kind of fought back a little bit and went after them, that made news, which made
right, because now you're picking on the old people because they're carrying a sign in one hand and holding their cane in the other. And I'm going to hit you with my shopping bag, Sonny.
That drew attention to it. People started paying more attention, and so today more people pay attention politically than they have probably since the Kennedy assassination.
So yeah, I think you're right because it woke up a group of people that had formerly just been going, I'm living my life and I'm not really paying attention. And right. Inaction is an action,
well,
and that's it.
When you talk to, they say, whatever, my vote doesn't really count anyway. So
right, but it does now. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional, a brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
So, one of the things that has just come out in the news is that defunding the police is not necessarily a good idea for public safety in the community where they defunded the police. Who'd have thought? I mean, wouldn't that have been your first thought?
Right, but they give it to you in percentages, so that doesn't mean a lot because if one guy did it last time and two guys do it now, that's 100% increase.
Right.
So percentages are tricky in some cases.
So, but you still have to understand that it's not it's not a singular. We're talking. So the story we're talking about is Portland, and Portland, Oregon, and they have. Well, we've been watching the struggle that is happening there because there's the city and their determinations, and then there's all of the people who live around that are faced with the decisions that are made by the cities, and they may or may not like those decisions. So about 2 years ago, the Portland mayor he announced he was disbanding the police department's gun violence reduction team. Though you and I both know that gun violence is not a thing because the gun is not violent, it's the person who's using it. And so that would be criminal violence reduction team, should be actually what it is. And so now the numbers are starting to very much pick up, and so it's doubled. So the homicides in the city are up 200% over the last year. That they say that the vast majority of the violence is stemming from about 200 people across the city, and those 200 people are the ones who are, in their estimation, engaged in the crime that is upping the numbers.
So there's 200 people that if they move them to a different city, then Portland's numbers look good, and they could go.
Right. So are they gonna do like Texas does, and here's a bus, and they're all going to D.C. right? Though I have to say that the D.C. folks are saying that's not an answer. Well, the Texas folks are going, got your attention now, don't we? Right. And so it may be that it's a little bit of that. But when you look at it, I was recently talking to a law enforcement officer in Ohio in our area. And they say that they are, they've just created, they did not have, but just created a SWAT team. And so they have volunteer officers who want to get involved in that. So the officers are practicing, the officers are working, and so in some cases they're doing it on their own time, with gear that has been issued by the state or by the county or by the municipality.
Portland's a port city, right? They're on the ocean, correct?
They're on the West Coast, but I can't tell you if they're specifically on the ocean or how far they are from the ocean.
Trebuchet or something. And,
they could just jettison them? Is that what you're saying?
Right. I mean, send them...
I think that because we're Americans, there is that thing of innocent until proven guilty,
well,
but the only thing we can hope for...
and say, go west, young man, and
I think that the one thing we can hope for is that we prosecute. I'm just going to ignore that and keep going. Because I don't think you can water wings them while you're trebucheting them. I just don't think that that's a solution to crime and punishment in the United States American court system.
I think when the first 8 or 10 of them go, the rest of them are going to watch that and think, I think it's time for a new career change.
I don't think I want to learn how to fly. Maybe have you seen? Speaking of, I was watching a documentary today about
trebuchets.
No, about skydivers and about the guys in the wingsuits. They look like flying squirrels.
Yeah.
And so maybe they get, instead of water wings, they get the flying squirrel suit. It keeps them in the air twice as long, it says.
Right. See, so they could look for one of the Aleutian Islands out there, maybe to land
in their flying squirrel suit. Once again, though, it's sad that when we get politics, politics are involved in everything that we do, but when you get politics involved in what's happening in your community to the point where you're now at risk because someone else who has a security guard and...
But when did we stop being mean to the criminal and start to protect the criminal and let them work the crowd, as they say?
I don't know, but that is a good question, and I would be open to some listener interaction on that.
In the Wild West, they would have a party. Everybody would come. The band would play. They would have a cookout and everything, and then they would hang a couple of them to.
Right, I knew you were going there. You were going to the public green. Got it.
But it would deter the young children that
from
were thinking about a life of crime when they watch this guy with the Spandau Ballet do his last couple of...
It's not a band. I'm just saying. Little nuggets of information that you learn and then you figure out how to use again. So, no, those of you who think Rob Unchained would be fun, no, it is not. But pay attention to what's happening in your city. I was reading somewhere, and darn it, the numbers have escaped me, but they're saying about how small the actual community is where the majority of the homicides happen. And within the United States, that it's like 10 townships in total that has more than 50% of the homicides.
Right, for the whole country.
For the whole country, right. So you would think that if you could do criminal reform in those areas.
Players that come up and, they're superstars in their field. We just don't give them jersey numbers.
The thing is that as sad as it is, does that mean that you would, if you lived in one of those high crime areas, do you then search out to find an...
I think they call that a vigilante.
No. I'm not searching them out that way. No. I'm searching out a new...
I can see where that would be a worthwhile hobby.
No, that's not the searching out. I was saying searching out a new community to live in. You pick up
and
your
the funny
kids
part, you could move 10 miles down the street and all of a sudden
So unless you have that criminal in your family, then your crime percentage goes down.
Right.
So
the poor guy who buys your house is I believe they call it a sucker.
Okay. So very, very valid point. Absolutely very valid point. But is that one of the reasons why when you sit there and you look that there's the housing values in certain communities are raising and others are lowering because things like
right?
this
I mean, there's
impact
spots.
those.
I mean, where all of a sudden the housing value is almost nothing. I mean, a used car sells for more than a house that was built in the 1950s, and and it's only because the neighborhood is so bad that you have to sleep with one eye open or 3 guard dogs and you and the wife take shifts so that.
I'm just going to say my guard dog would rather be looking for an Oreo than it would be looking for a bad guy, so we're out of luck there. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and there's no easy solution. There's really no easy solution.
Oh,
but
there is an easy solution. We choose not to look at that easy solution. We have a love affair with the timeout chair.
Right.
We have got away from paddling. We have got away from do unto others before they do unto you type stuff. I mean, when they I
think that the people in a community need to take back their community. They need to say, "I've had it."
I think if they catch somebody who the guy kills someone, member of your family should own that guy. They can do what they want with him as long as they don't let him loose on society.
There is that. Okay, Rob Unchained is going to be pay-per-view because we're not going to be able to put it out for public. I'm just saying. So there is so many levels that the indentured servitude portion of they've killed the wage.
It's a forfeiture of lifestyle
that
you have committed on yourself.
Forfeiture of lifestyle is because you had
a choice up to that point. You chose to give your rest of your days to somebody who
to support the family of the dude that you
or if they can eat you or whatever
Stop.
they want to do.
Okay, we're not continuing this conversation,
nothing
man.
Says till
forever.
Long,
Got it. Stop it. Oh my!
Nothing
Save
says how
me
long this
from
contract
Rob.
has to last.
Save me, dude. Sometimes I don't know what goes on inside your head, and I am somewhat scared when it starts to get out.
I'm a realist, and you should, if you pay attention, you'll see.
Okay, well then my middle name is Pollyanna. So because there is just not. So how about that weather? Let's.
It's hot here. I don't know about anywhere else, but
and it's going to be hot in Hades too, wherever you're going. I am just saying that. Please, everybody, pray for me. Pray for me. So what else do you have in front of you? Because we're not talking about Liz Cheney because we've already started right there. I've called it. So many people have called it. She is not going to be in politics, though. She thinks she's going to run for president as an independent. Well, she said she's going to run for president as a Republican. I don't think that she's got a flying squirrel's chance at all of running as a Republican on the Republican platform. Not at all.
But as an independent, she may find 2 or 3 votes.
She may. But other than that, I am not seeing it at all. So when we come back, who knows what's going to fly out of his mouth. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional, a brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
So we here's where we're headed. Is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, which we all are feeling. Our new titles on our videos. Rob's brain is on spin dry, and I need your prayers. That's too cute. So we have been talking about this Bruin decision, and then we've been talking about the EPA versus West Virginia Supreme Court decision, and those two and the impact of those. Well, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has doubled down, and now they're going after forced reset triggers. And so that is a piece. So there is a man in Massachusetts who was arrested, and he was arrested for things that are decidedly illegal given the current laws.
But they're only illegal in Massachusetts.
Well, no. Some of them are illegal everywhere. Well, not in China.
Okay,
so
it's
he
got
had
extra penalty points for Massachusetts.
Okay, could be. So here's this guy. This Mr. Augusto has been under investigation since February. He was in unlawful possession of multiple unregistered firearms. That's a Massachusetts thing. He also was found in possession of several standard capacity magazines that are illegal in the state. So that's another violation. So those are state violations. He has 2 suppressors lacking any markings at all, and ergo, also that would mean that they're lacking the tax stamp from the 1934 Gun Control Act. So that puts him on a federal level. So it's Massachusetts and the federal level. He has 42 machine gun conversion devices, including 38 of those devices, which are the Glock machine gun conversion switches that periodically you will see on the internet. They're being shipped out of China. And
they built them for some kind of a Glock airsoft gun or something. And then they found out that everything was so close to the original that it works on the...
Right. And so that's a problem. And don't think that the FBI is not monitoring all purchases and shipments, and as is the postal inspector. So they've caught him with that. So there's those pieces. But they also caught him with 4 force reset triggers, which are not on a federal level illegal. And so that's where he is going to run this. We're waiting for the case where somebody is going to make case law. Somebody is going to be the example that goes to the Supreme Court.
Everything here goes against Bruin. So I think in the long run, he is in a good spot for have them...
Right. So he's, by being in a bad spot, he is then in a good spot. Is that what we're saying? So we have to have somebody who goes to jail.
It's going to cost him money.
It's going to cost him a lot of money.
But in the long run, he's going to have a law named after him that will, much like Dick Heller does.
It could be, and it's going to be Augusto. So we'll much like Dick Heller is, as opposed to Bruin, which isn't named after the winner. But okay. So.
See, but Augusto is easy to say, so it'll be it's good.
Yeah, it could be that.
New York rifle and pistol, blah blah blah.
I'm going to say that this is going to be one of those cases where watch this space, and there's going to be a GoFundMe that's going to be set up at some point to cover his legal bills.
Yeah, and the thing is I'm sure the forced reset trigger guys all have that letter from the ATF saying it's all good.
It's all legal, and now there's that. So there is that. Making a suppressor is not illegal, but when you make a suppressor, you must fill out the Form 1 for the 1934 Gun Control Act, pay them $200, wait the 9 to 11 months.
And then get it engraved with the numbers and stuff.
Right, and he has a unique ID and all of that kind of stuff. So that's the process. So this guy has been willing to throw himself onto the fires of being the example so he could do great things and have things named after him. I'm going to say that though we've all been waiting for a case like this, I don't ever urge any of you guys to be the case law because it's not a happy place to be, and it's a long and drawn out process.
Right.
Dick Heller took 13 years.
If history remembers you, it was painful on your behalf.
Right. Right. It is. And that is going to be where I believe this is going to go. So if he is lucky, then Firearms Policy Coalition and Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens' Right to Keep and Bear Arms, those organizations are going to be like, dude, looks like it is a good case and we will support you. And our video producer says, just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do that thing. And in this case, you may have a court case named after you. That court case is going to cost upwards of $1 million. So if you don't have a spare $1 million rattling around in your bank account, do you really want to be the case law that they name stuff after?
So I think you don't make it to the Supreme Court with a public defender.
No, not even a lawyer in a polyester suit that you paid.
What's wrong with our justice system?
Right. Well, somebody has to care, and sometimes they care because you're giving them money, and sometimes they care because they care. But a public defender, as much as he cares, he only cares for those 5 minutes.
And then we got Bruin again was telling us how everything has to go back to the laws of the 1790s, and yet you've seen where the Congress has passed the assault weapons bill.
So it's passed through the House, but not through the Senate.
Right. So it's so we're halfway there. We
don't want to be. We don't want to be that halfway, but we are sitting at the halfway tipping point.
So you want to call your senator, talk to them, tell them that you're not for this, They're saying it probably doesn't stand a chance, but
You need to help make sure that it doesn't stand a chance, and your senators need to know that you care. And so knowing that a senator and a congressman believe that every phone call, every email is worth 100 voters. So the U.S. Capitol Switchboard, which will direct you to your senators, and oh, by the way, you have two, and it will direct you to those senators, is 202-224-3121. You can also go Google your state, find your senators. They have a website that is specific to each senator. You can write your email, and you can then cut and paste it and stick it and send it to the second one. So you don't even have to think about this twice. You just can do it twice because it's really the same message. I'm going to urge you that your message needs to be clear and concise, that I want you to vote no. Tell them what you want. And they don't need 47 paragraphs. They need a paragraph saying, I am a voter and I urge you to vote no. If you want to put a second paragraph that says why, okay. But you don't need a whole lot more than that, because
remember, be polite and
be polite and be concise.
And keep it short, and they'll pay attention to it.
Correct. But if you do that, and another thing, and then you call them a cheese whiz head, then they discount everything that you said. So be polite and continue to be polite. Right?
Right. Even if they're from Wisconsin, they discount the cheese whiz head thing.
Well, you could call them a cheese head, but when you call them a cheese whiz head, that's not even real cheese.
Oh.
That would be a cheese whiz head is absolutely an insult in every voting jurisdiction. See, now that I'm on the radio, there's new ways to say things to show your displeasure without swearing. Right? Is that not it? So what are your favorite ways to voice your displeasure without swearing? So you've got to be creative sometimes, and Cheese Whiz Head just came to the forefront. It just popped right up there. So there you go. So folks, thanks for staying tuned in. Know that we are also on TV, so if you want to watch us on TV in addition to watching us on radio, you can find us on OpsLens channel on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. We'll see you next week.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.org.